It was a crisp autumn morning when a young woman decided to take a quiet walk along the familiar village lane behind her house. The air carried a gentle chill, the dry leaves whispered under her steps, and the distant chorus of birds gave the countryside its calm rhythm. Her dog trotted happily at her side, tail swishing, until it suddenly froze, ears pricked, and let out a sharp bark. Startled, she turned back. The dog stood by a roadside ditch, growling softly yet refusing to move. Concern tightening in her chest, she approached and peered down. What she saw stopped her breath. Curled in the cold mud lay a small fox. Its russet coat, once vibrant, was plastered flat against its frail body, drenched and shivering. Wide amber eyes lifted toward her, not with aggression, but with a hollow mixture of fear and resignation. The little creature looked as though it had already surrendered. Without hesitation, she knelt down. Slowly, cautiously, she reached into the frigid water, her movements careful so as not to frighten the animal further. Wrapping the fox in her woolen scarf, she pressed it gently against her chest and hurried toward the nearest veterinary center. There, the diagnosis was grim but not hopeless: dehydration, malnutrition, and hypothermia. Thanks to her swift action, the fox's life was saved. The vet praised her compassion, but she was too preoccupied to take pride. Each day after that, she returned to the clinic, quietly sitting by the enclosure, watching as the little creature's trembling eased, its appetite returned, and its eyes gradually softened with trust. Weeks passed, and the fox grew strong again. The time came for release. Standing at the edge of the forest, she opened her arms. The fox lingered for a moment, then darted into the trees. She told herself it was farewell, that wild animals belonged to the wild, but fate had other ideas. A few days later, as she sipped tea on her veranda, she sensed movement in the garden. From behind a rose bush, two familiar amber eyes watched her. It was the fox. It did not approach, nor did it beg for food. It simply lingered, silent, before slipping back into the woods, and then it came again. Over time, its visits became a quiet ritual. Sometimes it sat at the edge of the garden, other times it lay beneath the porch, sheltering from rain or snow. It never caused disturbance, never crossed the threshold. Its presence seemed to carry a single message: I remember. Neighbors were astonished. Some dismissed her story until they saw it with their own eyes. A wild animal, once rescued, returning again and again, not out of need, but perhaps out of gratitude. For the young woman, it was more than a curiosity. It was proof that kindness, once given freely, could blossom into something extraordinary. She had saved a life without expecting anything in return. Yet in doing so, she had gained a companion, not one bound by ownership, but by trust. In the quiet company of that fox, she discovered something profound. Here was a bond unspoken, fragile yet resilient, a reminder that compassion has a ripple effect far beyond what we can imagine. She had offered shelter to a wild heart, and in return, found that wild heart had chosen, in its own way, to keep coming back. In the end, it was not about taming or possession. It was about recognition, a silent understanding that in a fleeting act of mercy, a lasting connection had been born.